Hello and what is up, my friends? It's Thunderbob here, and we are again going to be playing some Diablo 4. Tonight, I'm going to be running a Nightmare dungeon on my level 71 Chain Lightning Crackling Energy Sorcerer. I've made quite a few changes since the last video. We're going to be running through a Tier 24 Nightmare dungeon. These enemies are level 78, 79, about 8 levels higher than I am currently, and manages without any deaths, though a few close calls. I'm going to show you the gear, the skills, and paragon points that I've got set up here, quite a bit different from the last video. And before I jump into that, I do just want to kind of get off topic for about 30 seconds, if you can just be patient with me. Father's Day just ended, and I've got a lot of kind of thoughts in my head about the amount of time I spend on games and away from family, and this is coming from someone who's a father and someone who's lost both of their parents in the last 2 years. And in the last couple weeks, I lost an uncle who was like a father to me. And just remember, this is a game. And if you've got friends or you got family out there, don't lose those connections. Maintain those relationships. Have boundaries between, your game life and your real life, and know what's important. I spend a decent amount of time playing this, but I know what, is most important. And it's been going through my head with the holiday and stuff, and, not being able to talk to some of those family members that are gone anymore. So if you've got family, friends who you haven't talked to, and if something happened to them you would regret not having that last call, reach out to them. Yeah, we'll jump into the serious stuff, but it's just something I wanted to share. Okay, so my inventory's full because I'm actually making this part of the video after I've run the dungeon. So ignore all the stuff in my inventory except for this thing. Yeah, okay. We're gonna look at... Let's look at the spec first and how I've changed it. So I changed my enchantment. I am now using Frostbolt and Fireball. And the main reason I changed to Frostbolt is because I got this. And it's not perfect for this build. It actually would be perfect for a Frost build, I think. But I don't want to take this and imprint it on something else until I find like the perfect ring, or if maybe I change to Frost later. Like, this is actually pretty decent for a Frost setup, except for that stun damage is kind of useless. But yeah, this gives you almost infinite mana when anything is crowd controlled. And the easiest way to accomplish that is with Frostbolt enchantment. So anytime you cast a skill, it applies Chill, which is a crowd control, which triggers the 4 mana regeneration. It also triggers on Frost Nova. So what you can do is throw out a Chain Lightning, it hits everyone. And you only get that 4 mana, I think, the first... Like, if you keep applying Chill, I don't think it keeps generating. But you can kind of Chain Lightning, 4 mana from each enemy. Frost Nova, that'll give you both the 23 mana I'm getting from this ring, in addition to 4 mana for each enemy hit, even if they're already chilled. So it's like... before I was calling it infinite mana, but now I would say it's even closer to being just like you never drop mana. But let's go ahead and look at how the skills have changed here. So we've got a point in Frostbolt, and down to here just to get to the next tree. But this is our enchantment. 1 point. Actually, excuse me. This is also another thing I'm testing. I don't know if I'm going to stick with this. I maxed out Fireball, because I realized, and I think this is how it's working. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm using this weapon, which gives me a 68% critical strike chance when I have full mana, which I almost always have with this build. And that's to core or mastery skills. But I'm noticing Fireball that's triggered from the enchantment seems to be critting, like, frequently. I'm kind of wondering if it also gets that benefit. I'm not 100%. I'm suspecting it is. It's very hard to test it because things die so quickly. But if you get any feedback on that, I'd love to hear your thoughts. But I put 5 points into it because it's doing an incredible amount of damage anytime something dies. And I took a little bit of points away from defenses to make this work, but I'm kind of liking it at the moment. So as I get higher and higher and taking more damage, I may need to shy away from this, but I'm kind of digging what it's doing right now. So I got 5 points in Fireball, 3 points here for the extra mana, and the extra damage when you're full mana, or above 50, I should say. Chain Lightning all the way down to Crackling Energy. This is another way I get mana back, because this is not on lucky hit, this is just on crits. And I crit nearly 100% of the time, so on a single cast of Chain Lightning, which hits 5 times, you're getting like 1 to 2 Crackling Energy, usually at a minimum, and sometimes you'll see 3, 4, it's pretty crazy the amount you can get. At the end of some of the fights, you'll just see like 20 of them on the ground. Go down to the next tree. I've got 3 points here just because I've got so many defensive skills, and it's just nice to be able to use like Frost Nova back to back to back. And I've got the item that allows me to get 2 charges of this. So sometimes it's Frost Nova, and then this triggers, and then Frost Nova again, and then it triggers. And it's like sometimes you can do 3, 4 Frost Novas in a row. And yeah, that's pretty awesome. Ice Armor, Teleport, Flame Shield. This is like the most critical skill in the game, to be honest. Vulnerable is so good. Down to here, 3 in this, though actually, in hindsight, I think I'll probably take points from here, because I've gotten rid of almost all of my lucky hit stuff, because we'll get to that in a second. But this is probably points that I'm going to be maneuvering around in my next video, but they're still here for now. Line the Elements, 2 points in Mana Shield, and 3 points protection. I think Mana Shield's underrated. Pretty much I'm always casting, and I'm always spending mana. So it's like, it's almost always a 10-15% damage reduction. Protection's great too. Barriers are beautiful. Lots of, if you can get aspects that play off of barriers, there's so much synergy there. I'm using fewer of the shock, the shock passives. I've got 1 point here just to be able to get down to get the Crackling Energy. To be honest, this is kind of garbage compared to, you get so many Crackling Energies from this one because it's not on lucky hit, it's just on crit. And this only works with shock skills. So this isn't being generated by my Crackling Energies, this isn't being generated by anything except Chain Lightning in this build, and Chain Lightning already produces so many. So if I didn't want this, I probably would even put the 1 point here. I also got rid of my shock has a chance to stun, so I also dropped this to deal damage when you stun, because I'm not really, this build's not stunning anymore. To be honest, when I put all points here, I wasn't seeing enough stuns to even make it worth it. Maybe if lucky hit, if you maxed it out as much as possible, like I had like plus 40 at one point, but I still wasn't seeing that many stuns with Chain Lightning. And maybe there's builds that can make better use of this, but I think it either needs to be increased or maybe lower it to 1.5 seconds and double the chance for it to proc or something. But I never saw it proc, in times that would really matter. And I basically just took all the points out of these in the end, because I'm already got 100% crit rate. This is kind of useless at that point. So I took points out of there. I did come down, and because I'm now using Frost Bolt, I put 3 points here, and then I've got 3 points from my amulet. So that's given me 30%, 36% increased frozen damage, 18% chill damage. That's 18% on anything, because everything's chilled. So that's great. Down in stable currents, and down to overflowing energy for the cooldown reduction primarily. Yeah, so that's the skills. And I'm quickly going to go through the paragon points. I just got a point, and I haven't distributed it yet, but here's what I ran the dungeon with. Went down this side, and I've got the bonus now. Down to this side, I am using control in this one. Still need to level these up a bit more. And I changed this up. This one used to be here, and this, yeah, so... and actually, this is completely... I wasn't using the frost one at all. So this is the Icefall tree, which I got because now I'm doing frost damage, so I'm getting just like huge increased damage to chill. This is giving me If I get 10 more willpower, it'll give me 30% damage to chilled enemies. This one I just hit enough, and it's giving me 30% damage to chilled enemies. That's 60% damage from just switching one paragon board in some minor skill changes. Damage reduction from chilled, and I put the crackling energy glyph, though I may change this out. It's nice because it gives me almost a constant 15% damage increase, but the crackling energy, you don't use crackling energy for the damage. It's mostly for the skill cooldown reduction and for the mana you get up on pickup. The damage is just kind of a nice bonus, but even giving it plus 50, plus 70, plus 100% damage, the base is so low it's not super noticeable. I do still want to see, like, at the end game if I can make it work better, but even, you know, using all the skills I can, it's not super noticeable. It's like 10% damage increased by a bunch of modifiers, and that's still not a lot. And then I went to the ceaseless conduit tree to get the crackling energy does not consume a charge 25% of the time, and the huge bonus damage. Again, I may get rid of this board eventually, but I wanted to keep playing around with it. And it also, this is the only board that has lightning damage, and I think that's part of the problem with lightning, is the paragon boards for frost and for fire seem way better than the lightning one. I think that's something that needs work. There's just some things, like there's glyphs that there's just no way to make them work right, and there's like boards that don't have any lightning damage on them. It's kind of weird compared to how much damage this gives you for, you know, for chilled enemies compared to how much damage you get for the comparable one is the stun one, except chill is so easy to apply and stun is so hard to apply. Yeah, so this is where I went, though, is crackling energy damage, lightning resistance. I got the glyph socket here for critical strike damage. Come up to this one, crackling damage and lightning damage energy. Went to the legendary node, and then I'm probably going to go out this way is my thought. And let's look at the gear real quick. A lot of this is the same as the last video, but a few minor changes. This is the same. It gives me a huge crowd control bonus. So if I Frost Nova or Chill, there's a good chance it spreads, and then I get that extra mana, and they're frozen, and more damage, and etc. This, I just re-imprinted it with a much higher version. Anytime I hit an elite, I get like a 5,000 damage barrier. That's pretty good. That's more life than I have right now. So that's pretty crazy. I'm going to change out the imprint on this. I think I'm going to, maybe not this specific glove. I want to get one with 3 Chain Lightning and a little bit better stats. But I'm going to put the one that gives me a chance to have additional Chain Lightning bounces. I think that might be better for this build. I at least want to try it out. And Frost Nova, you get 2 of them, like I said, just great. Lucky hit chance increase. I may swap this out now that I'm less focused. I get rid of the stun lucky hit. I still have the cooldown reduction lucky hit, so I don't know. I'm kind of weighing if I want to just get rid of lucky hit altogether and focus on other things. This is like the core piece of the build. This gives you almost 100% crit rate. Like my base crit is around 30% last I checked. Let's see. Yeah, 30.3. I've got 100% crit damage right now. So this gives me like a 98.3% crit chance, which is pretty great. Yeah, that's why you put it on a 2-hander, because it doubles it. It would be a lot less noticeable on a 1-hander. But 40% wouldn't be bad on like a ring. I found this on a ring, actually, and it made me think like maybe I would change down the road. Because then you'd have like a 70% chance. But it's just getting close to 100% is just cool. This is really nice, especially on the amulet. It gives you 0.75% armor. I have oftentimes in a big battle 50, 70, stacks of this, and it almost doubles my armor, which gives you a huge amount of this is a bug, actually, I think. They talked about in the last fireside chat, is they're going to make resistance more meaningful later, but it's probably, sounds like a month or 2 down the road. And right now, armor is like way better than resistance. So I think that's one reason why this is very useful right now. It also gives me that 3 Hoarfrost, 3 defensive, just great. And then these 2 are really nice. And then let me slow down here. The mana on cooldown use, really, really great for this build, since I have 6 cooldowns technically, because I can use Frost Nova twice. and then you get 4 of your primary resource whenever you cred control, which is literally everything. And then I swap to this. I'll swap out usually this one for this one when I get to a boss, because this gives me lots of mana on single targets. This gives me lots of mana on many targets. This went way longer than I meant to, so we're going to jump right into the combat. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Just to show you, this is the dungeon we're doing, tier 24, Nightmare Dungeon. I think the enemies are around, I don't know, 77, 78 here. Should be about 5-6 levels higher than me. I just want to show you, it doesn't have any major things that impact me other than 40% less fire damage, which is that fireball will probably be doing less, but it's not any reduced to lightning or any bonus to lightning. It does add the cooldown reduction on kill, which will help a little bit, but I think it's less impactful than like a straight up damage increase or decrease. But yeah, let's go ahead and see how we do here. I have run a good number of Nightmare Dungeons. 78, a little higher than I was expecting, that we can barely manage. Got that Nightmare Portal. Let's take care of that before we get moving. And, you know, I tried a couple different things since that last video. I tried Ball Lightning in my enchantment slot instead of Fireball, and I kind of liked it. The thing was, I think it just didn't trigger quite enough, and sometimes it would trigger, and it would not trigger, it would not spawn, like, in a convenient place where it would really do much. It was, like, kind of annoying. Like, when it worked really well, but a lot of the time it just did not work. And I hate these suppressor guys. Let's get some mana back.
I need time to repair that.
There we go. Get out of the explosion. This wasn't a suppressor everywhere, was it? No, okay. I was gonna say, I'm just gonna restart. Suppressor is annoying with a caster, because like every single thing, like all of your attacks get blocked by it so frequently.
I'm not ready yet.
I'm being a little squishier than I want to right now. I went slightly higher than I had intended to. I meant for this to be like 76, 77. That's okay. They're red to me. It makes it a little bit harder when they're red, but it's a better kind of example that I can kill red enemies. With a little bit of pain. It's mostly, they hit for more, and I think you hit for less against them. I don't know the exact calculation, but definitely when they go from red to orange, I feel like there's some kind of, you know, statistic that's changing, some percentages that are changing. Yeah, I tried Ball Lightning. It wasn't bad, but it's just like, one, it didn't trigger anywhere near as often as Fireball. You know, Fireball is on death. So I guess if you get to the point where you're killing guys really, really slowly, and you get like, you know, 4 or 5 Ball Lightnings in the time that one guy's dying, it would be useful. But at that point, you probably just need to change up your build completely. And at that point, I probably would drop, did I miss one? Would probably drop Fireball and go to Firebolt for the extra damage that you get. I also tried Lightning Spear, which is one that I really want to make work, but I can't quite get it right. I feel like, you know, you use it as the enchantment. Even when I pick up 10 orbs, I rarely see one. And I think there's a bug where if you're not in combat and you pick up orbs, I don't think it counts. Because I have picked up literally like, there was like 30, 40 orbs on the ground. And if I'm not in combat, I never see one spawn. So I think you have to have an enemy in range, another suppressor guy, to see any benefit from the lightning spear enchantment. And then even with the items that let you spawn like 2 at a time, even with the... Oh, that's what I needed. I can run back. Even when you get like all of the aspects for it, it just, I can't figure out how to make it actually function very well. It's really nice for stunning, but then you need to put in a lot of your talent, your skill points into like kind of the stun abilities, which I think stun, the percentage in it needs to be increased, at least for Chain Lightning. Like, even when I had 3 points in it and a lot of lucky hit gear, I rarely ever see enemies get stunned. I don't know why that is. I mean, it's, I kind of get it. You get like a 30% lucky hit chance across an entire cast of Chain Lightning. And then it's like a 9% on top of that, but it just feels low. Like, I feel like, and I realize Chain Lightning, stun is probably one of the most powerful crowd control abilities because it completely takes you, control away from your character in PvP and PvE. Like, takes the enemy just like out of the fight completely. But it's not very satisfying when you have all these points. I've got, 6, 12 points invested to make it try to work, and it just does nothing. I love like the back-to-back chain Frost Nova when the cooldown reduction kicks in from your talents, and yeah.
I'm not ready yet.
Let's see if we can find that shrine. I really shouldn't use shrines when I'm trying to kind of show off a build, but if it's the conduit one, that one's fun too. They're just like fun, and that's one thing. I think this game's all about fun. I say to people, don't watch build videos, and then I do build videos, but I'm not really doing like a tier list. Like, this is just what I'm playing with and having fun with. I'm not saying it's the best out there, and in fact, probably there's better Frost builds out there. Like, I think Frost's a little overpowered, or maybe Lightning and Fire's a little undertuned. But I haven't tried every build out there. But I definitely have been having a blast with this build. And I think if you watch a build video, don't follow it like to a T, like maybe to start with, but then really toy around with it. It's not hard to, like, to fully respec is kind of expensive, but swap out, hey, I want to try to add in Frost Bolt instead of Fireball. It doesn't take many points to make a change like that. Same thing with your Paragon points. Like, I found you can have way more power with just a few Paragon point changes. Like, oh, I needed 3 more, willpower to hit this next breakpoint. Stuff like that. So, like, watching a guide doesn't take into account your specific gear, doesn't take into effect a lot of things about your character. I kind of like these with this build, because with Fireball, like, everything stacks up and just explodes usually. It's like a really nice experience boost.
I'm not ready yet.
And watch the cooldown on Unstable Currents in this fight. This is probably a good example of where you can actually get some decent cooldown reduction. Like, it's already off a cooldown, and I just used it, 15 15-20 seconds ago from a 67-second cooldown, I think it's at. And this doesn't always happen. Like, if you're running into small groups of enemies, you're not going to see this kind of cooldown reduction. But during the events in particular, and I kind of hope Blizzard does take feedback from people and increase the density, because there are times where there's just not enough enemies. And these events, I think, are some of the best. Did I not defend her? Was I not? Did I screw that one up? I was talking too much. Oh well, I killed a lot of guys. That was weird. I thought I was in the bubble, but I wasn't looking closely enough. But I think if they increased density, you know, this ability would be that much better because you'd have more targets. Because right now I've got it set where I can get 6 targets on my crackling energy, and you could have, I was doing the math on it, between like a 9 and a 22-second cooldown if you have the max number of targets, and all 15 bubbles. So 15 bubbles worth of damage will give you between 9 and 22 seconds of cooldown reduction, which is pretty decent. In my mind, that's pretty good. Let's drop this guy back. But again, if you have 1 or 2 targets, you're gonna see like almost no reduction, like no noticeable reduction, and that's kind of something you have to think about a little bit, when to pop those abilities and when to not. It's not like an endless cooldown build. It's just, it's a nice little bonus when the density and the enemy variety is correct. And maybe if Blizzard increases the density, it'll become that much better. I do hope Blizzard changes a few things. I would love to see them revert some of the Chain Lightning nerfs. Like, just add it to hit 2 extra enemies. You don't need to revert the damage buff. I think just giving it the ability to hit 7 instead of 5 again would be enough to put it over the top. And I'm not advocating to really nerf any build. I think, you know, it's better to bring some of these lesser used abilities up a little bit, unless something is just completely out of control. You know, if you got like a Blessed Hammer from Diablo 2 style thing, like, okay, well maybe if everyone is using that build, it should be brought down a little bit. I feel like I'm doing okay here. Fighting red enemies in a nightmare dungeon. I definitely need to upgrade my glyphs a little bit more. I'm getting there, but they're only like 5, 6 right now, and those are some of like the biggest damage increases, I think, as you continue to level up. So much explosions, I can't even see. This is what's cool with Fireball. People tell me to get rid of Fireball and go Firebolt, and like, this is the kind of moment when I'm like, no. I just love all the explosions on the screen. And then I'm gonna die from these stupid laser tower things. I don't even know what causes that. Is that an ability on one of the guys? Probably. Or is that from the chest? I can't even see what's going on. I'm just clicking my cooldowns and teleporting away on occasion. Again, these are red guys, 5, 6 levels higher than me. 7 levels higher than me, actually. I really haven't seen many legendaries this run. That's weird. You know, I've only found like 3 uniques, and 2 of them have been the same unique. And I probably played, I don't know, 80 hours or something. I wish this game had a timer on it. I don't think it does. I'd probably be depressed if I knew how much time I played. Whoa, that was almost a death. If I knew how much time I actually played. I'm like losing my cursor. There's so much going on the screen, or maybe my mouse is dying. That was kind of funky. Blaming it on the battery.
I'm not ready yet.
Yeah, so those are the kind of moments where I think Fireball really shines, and I think if they increase the density more, it's only going to get better. But I do, like, I know as I get higher and higher level, the health on enemies is going to continue going up. You know, it's going to be harder and harder to maintain what I'm doing. So, like, there may be a point where it just makes sense to drop Fireball and go to Firebolt and get, like, the 30% damage, you know, increase, and to get the various, let's see, where have I not gone? Does it not look like is there something over here, maybe? Slay the Favored. Did I miss a little... No. I swear I cleared all this area. Am I blind? I did the whole loop, right? Oh, god dang it. I'm bad. I'm bad, guys. I'm sorry. What I was saying earlier, you know, if you do look at guys, if you're looking at this, don't take it to be the be-all, end-all. Like, this game hasn't been out long enough for people to really figure out what is best. You know, what is the best today and a week is probably going to be completely different. So if you want to use them as a good starting point, you know, I find, you know, there's a lot of interesting, like, hey, these work together really well. But make it your own. Don't be afraid to move things around, try different items, different aspects, different skills. And, you know, even if you're not doing as much damage, if you're having more fun doing it, that matters more to me. Like, you know, there's definitely been builds I've played where I'm like, technically, this is better, but I don't like how it plays. Oh, thing came up because of the boss. Great. Let's just see, is this going to be a good boss or a bad boss? And I forgot to put my ring on
I need time.
for my mana. See, now my mana's pretty good. I need the perfect version of that ring. Ooh, that was a spicy bit of damage there. Get out of the fire! And she's dead.
I cannot carry more.
So that was a level tier 24 nightmare dungeon on my 71 Chain Lightning Sorcerer. Without a death. So, not bad. I was a little hairy at the beginning. I wasn't expecting that that spike of damage, but pulled it out decently, I think. If you get any thoughts on the build, on my, you know, how I'm playing, any suggestions, critiques, I'm always up for feedback. You won't hurt my feelings if you think this is a dumb build. Tell me ways I could improve it. But I do want to thank you for watching, everyone. If you enjoy what I'm doing here, feel free to check out some other videos. I've got a ton of Diablo stuff, Diablo 2, Diablo 3, Diablo 4. Got a playthrough of Diablo 1 on the channel. I do a lot of non-Diablo stuff too, but right now, with me playing a lot of this game, this is what I'm going to be focusing on. But I also do VR stuff, new PC releases, retro games. But for a while, I'm probably going to be playing Diablo 4 like 90% of my playtime. And if you like this, like, subscribe, and drop me a comment. Thanks again. Have a good night, everybody.